Okay, the meeting is live.
All right. I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting of Tuesday, April 14th. It is 1:24 p.m. We are not in City Council chambers. We are all in our own independent homes and or offices. With apologies for the late start time on the meeting, we are still working with the closed captioning entity to try and get closed captions attached to the live streaming video that you're seeing right now. We had a dry run on the technology and it worked, but we're having some difficulty getting it to kick in for today's finance meeting. So it's possible that at some point here in the next little bit we'll have closed captions. If those closed captions don't materialize for the live streaming meeting, once the meeting is posted to YouTube, there will be a closed caption version available within the next few hours via YouTube. So for those who are looking for closed captions, once again, our apologies. We did think we had all the bugs ironed out, but as it turns out, we haven't. With that said, we're going to get started here with the items on the agenda. And Chris Cooley will let us know if and when we've managed to transition to closed captions here. Thanks, Chris, by the way, for all your work on this on every front.
Sure, thank you.
Item number 1 on our agenda today is a resolution of the City Council authorizing the execution of 2018 Chodo agreement between the city and Greater Lycoming Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $70,000. And that item will be presented by Stephanie Young. Stephanie, would you like to take it away? Or Mary, are you stepping in for Stephanie?
Oh, isn't Stephanie there?
I don't know. I'm sorry. With this whole Zoom thing, there are so many people here. It's a little hard for me to say exactly who's here and who's not. I'm sorry.
It looks like Stephanie's here.
You say it looks like she's not?
She doesn't appear to be on the
Oh, okay. My only problem is I don't have a copy of the. I didn't think I needed so. But it basically is it's $70,000 worth of 2018 Chodo funds, which is from the home funding that we receive. We are required to give to eligible Chodos, which right now Habitat is the only eligible Chodo we have. LNDC was, but they currently are not eligible. It's 15% of each year's award. Now, this is a little bit more than 15%, but we have funds available. And when Habitat submitted their application, this was the amount, or very near to the amount that they needed to make the project work. So it will, whoop. Okay, that was me, I guess. They will receive $34,645 of 2018 home Chodo set-aside funds, which is the 15%, and an additional 35. Something wrong with my number there, but with the additional 35 and change of 2018 home funds for a total of $70,000. They're going to build one unit on a single-family unit on a lot of land that they already own on Diamond Street, and they will sell it to an income-eligible household that goes through their program. And if they are in the meeting, I believe that they could give some information. I think they have a family that has made some sort of commitment for that lot. I'm not 100% sure. Wow. That's pretty much it. We give them the funds as they do the work. They submit bills, and we check to make sure that what they give us is eligible under the home program, and then we reimburse them for those amounts. The house has to be built according to code. The participants have to attend financial training, and at the completion, the property is deeded to their name.
Got it. All right. And I understand we have a couple of representatives from Habitat here with us today as well.
Yes, Liz. Hi, this is Alice.
Hi, Alice. How are you?
All right, how are you?
Great,
And Tom's here as well, our new executive director.
Tom Solanchik is here.
great. Do you guys want to add anything to what Mary had said? I had understood from Stephanie, it seems to me, several weeks ago, that this lot has a few more challenges than the average habitat project, which was part of the reason, or am I misremembering?
There was some challenges with the size and some wires, so the house was repositioned on it, so those challenges no longer exist.
Oh, okay, good. I had understood that was part of the reason for the extra funding. Hey,
Well,
Chris.
I'm sorry, Liz, I think what you're talking about is the basement. There had been a fire on that property, so we won't be able to do a slab on grade.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to do a basement, and that would cost more money. I think that's what you.
Got it. Hey, Chris. Sorry, guys, to interrupt you, but
Yes.
Chris, is it possible that Stephanie is on this, but somehow has been muted by the host? Number would be end in 7757.
She's just getting back on.
Okay, got it. All right. Sorry, guys, trying to make sure that everybody is present and accounted for who wants to be here.
Stephanie, you should be unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Yes, I've been here the whole time and I've been speaking, but nobody can hear me. So I apologize for that. I was ready to present, but Mary took it away, and so I'm sorry. I was muted.
Okay, did you have anything to add, Stephanie?
Well, then I somehow disconnected myself, and I just hopped back on. So, I think Mary covered it. Basically, a CHOTO allocation to Habitat for $70,000 for construction at 702 Diamond Street. And I know we have two Habitat representatives as well to answer any questions. So I think Mary's probably covered everything.
All right. Sounds good. Then if everyone's okay, I'll transition to members of the committee for questions.
Stephanie, what was the address again?
702 Diamond Street.
Liz, this is Alice.
Hi, Alice.
Could I add one more thing?
Sure, please.
I just wanted to let Mary know that we do have an eligible family that was approved by the board, and Kelsey's ready to send the information to Mary at any time. So we do have the family lined up, and she's very excited.
That's fantastic. Actually, Alice, if I could just ask you quickly where we're at on the timeline with this project and to what extent it may or may not be slowed down by the coronavirus restrictions that we're all currently operating under.
Well, the funding is, we're okay with the funding. We did raise a little over $22,000 for our individual annual solicitation letters.
Mhm.
We can use that, but we plan to continue fundraising for the build itself. And then we have everything put on hold as far as the construction. We had everything lined up, including the excavator, but everything is just sitting and waiting right now. And as soon as the economy and the world starts working again, we're ready to go.
Got it. So I noticed in the agreement that we were looking at that there was a timeline that, let me see here, hang on. Said that there was a submission of a site plan for review in March 2020. That's happened?
I'm sorry.
The site plan? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the site plan's done. So yeah, you're just waiting to break ground. It's basically.
We're waiting for the quarantine to be lifted.
Right.
Got it. Okay, well, that's fantastic. I'll yield to other members of the committee again for questions.
I don't have any, Liz.
Adam, anything from you?
Nope. Great project. I look forward to seeing it done.
Okay. All right, then if there are no further questions, I would take a motion.
Make a motion, we pass it on to the full body council with a positive recommendation.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks for being patient with our technical difficulties there, all you folks from Habitat. And just for members of the listening public, viewing public, et cetera, we have reviewed this item not just within the Finance Committee, but also through the Economic Revitalization Committee over the past month or two. So we've had a handful of discussions about it, and council's been pretty well updated through various avenues about the progress on this project. We're excited to see Diamond Street get a new house here. Thanks, guys.
Excited
Thank-
too.
yeah, thank you.
Hey.
All right.
We're signing off.
Okay, we'll see you later. All right. Item number 2 on our agenda here, if I can find it. Sorry, guys. I've got so many documents up on my desktop. I'm having a hard time locating anything. Item number 2 on our agenda will be a tabled item from the full body of City Council, proposal for website design. You'll pardon me if I don't read out the entire, let me see the entire title. If I can pull it up, I will. But somehow I've lost it.
Do you want me to read it, Liz?
Yeah, you want to read it, Chris? It's somewhere in my desktop. I've
Resolution authorizing execution of agreement for website design and development services.
Thank you, Chris. All right. So this item came before the full body of council 2 weeks ago, and there were enough questions about it and the nature of the agreement and sort of the city's specific plans for website design and maintenance moving forward that we tabled it and sent it back to committee for further review, because the meeting was running on a bit already. With that said, Chris, do you have anything new to add to the discussion?
I guess 2 things. One is a broader thing is that the mayor and I spoke, and we are going to most likely form a technology advisory committee that will be made up of the administration and then an individual from each elected office to really address all of the technology needs of the city. But that will help with the website, just so that we can have stakeholders from each of those offices involved in the development of the website and what they may feel that their offices require for the website. I know another one of the questions was related to adding downtown businesses onto the website. Again, the mayor and I spoke about that, and we believe that that really needs to be a more holistic approach for the whole entire city. We can't just do downtown businesses, but we really have to look at businesses in the East End, the West End, the Washington Boulevard corridor, everywhere. And I looked around on a couple other sites. Generally, other government websites, other city websites redirect that kind of information to a chamber of commerce, a visitors bureau, or some type of downtown business association, if you will. So we could either do something along those lines and really take the city out of that, which in many ways I think is probably a good thing. Or the other thing we could do, and I spoke to Spike about this, is build a form that businesses could fill out, and it would really, we would still review them before they posted, but it would be somewhat of an automated method. Allow businesses to basically have like sort of a one-line X, Y, and Z restaurant is located in this part of town, and here's the phone number. Again, not specifically advertising, but providing that information and opening it up to everyone. So I think those were 2 of these sort of development type things.
Got it.
And then I know that Ms. Mealy, you had asked about putting in the total cost in the resolution. I don't know if you want to do an amendment or if you want me to.
We can amend it via consensus, but we could make suggestions and maybe amend it for the full body of council.
Sure.
In the intervening 2 weeks, I've put together a couple more thoughts about the item, but I can defer to other members of the committee. Just real quick on the point that you made about individual business listings versus Chamber of Commerce and maybe Williamsport Business Association listings. It seems to me that the more appropriate thing is probably to provide for the city to provide links to vetted organizations within the city that represent both business interests, nonprofit interests, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be by far the more standard approach.
Yep.
And likewise, the city could really use a comprehensive events calendar. I don't necessarily see that as our responsibility either, but it does not exist in a usable form. It is something that we could bear in mind for future, but I think that would be biting off a lot at this point. And there aren't any events right now anyway, so you know, we've got a little bit of time on that one anyway. But that said, what questions and comments do other members of the committee have? Bonnie, I know this was of particular concern to you.
First of all, to go with, let's go touch base about the businesses. The last time this was done and businesses were put on the website, there were a lot of businesses that were not placed on there, which created a lot of hard feelings. I agree with Liz. I think they should all go through the channels, like with the Williamsport Business Association, with the businesses there, the chamber with their organizations, the library itself. Is that, I don't know. I haven't heard this in a long time, but are they still doing the events that anybody is doing? I don't remember if that's still functioning or not, but they would be a great asset.
I believe they do still have the calendar, Bonnie, but I'm not sure to what extent it's utilized by area organizations. I don't know if we've ever had a clearinghouse sort of calendar for the city or the region that really kind of fills the void of a one-stop shop for events going on in the area.
That's why the library came up with this, to fill that void. And again, my biggest problem with any of this is it's always human contact with everything. It's human responsibility. And a lot of things get lost in the translation because we all get busy and we don't do the things that we say we're going to do, and it never comes about. As far as going with the committee, what I would like to see done is have the committee sit down and discuss our wants and needs before we even approve of going forward with the website.
You kind of echoed my thoughts as I'm sitting here looking at this. I mean, I think we can all agree that this is a pretty big need for the city. There's a lot of value to improving the website, but I think at this juncture, I think we're putting the cart before the horse here a little bit. I don't think we have any kind of idea of exactly what we want on the website. I still don't know if we have a plan to engage the public to understand how they're going to use it, interact with it. I think we would be wise to figure out all that looks like and then re-engage Mr. Crepshaw so that he has a clearer path to understanding what he needs to do. We can have a cleaner contract from that perspective. I mean, this contract is fairly open-ended, which, I get it, but I don't think it's fair to Mr. Crepshaw that we have an open-ended contract as well to us. I mean, we could really use him and vice versa. I mean, there's a lot of risk mitigation that could be tied up on this as well.
In the past, most of the websites, they've come to us with what they thought we needed. I think we've got to go the other direction, as you're saying. We have to sit down with everybody and figure out exactly where we want to go with this, and then have Mr. Crenshaw design the website around our wants and needs. That's how I think it should be done. Mr. Crenshaw, what do you think about this?
Yeah, hi. I think that's a fun idea. Obviously, you want the website to have everything on there that's that you want. I spoke with Mr. Cooley earlier today before the Zoom session, and there was some items that came up that we discussed that we hadn't discussed before. And I think that even after you get a nice outline of what you want on the website, that's still going to grow as the website development process moves forward. I will say that you know, some things could be quite large, such as an all-encompassing calendar for the region, or for however large you want to make that. You know, just for a frame of reference here, and I know Mr. Cooley can probably attest to this as well. We use a calendaring software. Well, like Coming College and Penn College use a calendaring software, and that's not just for academic institutions, that's for just organizations. And that software package alone costs $30,000 with a $5,000 a year maintenance contract at least. So by all means, please do discuss what you want on the website. As Mr. Yoder said, the contract as it stands right now is kind of open, and it's written that way for that benefit, so that no one's locked into you know, certain things. And by no means, like I wrote it specifically like that. I know that I will not be taken advantage of, and I know that I want to put forth the best website I can for the city of Williamsport. So if we need to take a breather and come up with a list of must-haves for the website, you know, I think that's a great idea. To echo one more thing that you said, though, you know, kind of put it in different terms, a website is only as good as its content, and that content needs to be updated. And like you said, that's that human component. So there needs to be processes put in place on the city side to make sure that certain things do get updated if you want the website to, you know, to live on and actually be valuable to our residents of the city.
That's been the problem in the past. The websites that we've had have not been user friendly with the administration as far as updating things.
Sure.
And of course, then you've got people that are busy that don't update anything, which, as you said, does not make a good functioning website. And people do get frustrated when they go on and things are not updated. So, you know, these are the things that we have to try and overcome and make it easier for the people in the department heads, that when they're putting things in, to make sure that it is easy for them and not time consuming.
Right.
And I would agree with Chris and Derek that creating a committee that creates stakeholder buy-in from among city staff is probably a wise approach. At least if you have everyone having to sit down and confront whether or not they've updated their specific elements of the website, you probably have some level of responsiveness and responsibility there that won't exist otherwise. The other thing I would say, though, and Mr. Krebs, I'm wondering if you can speak to this a little bit, is I don't think that we need a one-time website build contract. I think we need either an ongoing contract with an individual or a company that will build and maintain our website and update it as necessary to move with the times. Or we need, maybe we need a one and done and then a hire within the city, and this is part of their responsibilities moving forward. You know, just as a business owner who has a website for her business that is deeply mediocre because, as Mr. Krebs accurately pointed out, the website is only as good as its content, and that's my fault, and I don't do it. And so, you know, even though theoretically my people within my business are responsible for updating the website for maintenance of content on the website, we still have someone who we pay not so much an annual fee, we pay an hourly rate to, but to go in and make improvements to the website, improve functionality, to occasionally update themes and things like that throughout the website. And I think that perhaps the mistake that we have made continually in the city is not only perhaps choosing poorly when it comes to choosing a company to work with in the past on website construction and maintenance. But more to the point, thinking of this as something that we build and then it's static. And it's not a static, even the design elements of it can't be static in the way that the internet functions today. So even if city employees are updating content on the website, we will still need someone who is taking care of updating design and updating functionality on a regular basis. So part of what I think about this contract, I think I'm a little more comfortable with moving forward with the contract, engaging a company or an individual and bringing that person to the table as part of the discussion amongst the city stakeholders, city administration and elected stakeholders as to what we want on a website. However, I think that we need to, I think that whatever the contract is needs to foresee an ongoing relationship for a period of time and ongoing maintenance, not a one and done sort of arrangement. Mr. Cooley and Mr. Crenshaw, what do you say to that?
From my perspective, I would absolutely encourage that whoever you choose to build the website, and certainly we've brought Mr. Crenshaw forward because we're comfortable with him, would continue to do some higher level maintenance and redesign and development as time goes on a yearly basis, however that may be. And I also agree that really in this day and age across the city, we probably really do need an individual who a significant portion of their time is devoted to website content creation and just generally pushing content and information out to the public. That's something that we are severely lacking. In the previous administration, we did kind of have that person, and then their role got used less for actually doing that and more for doing some other things. And then eventually that person was just no longer with the city anymore. So I think we were moving in a good direction, and that just, there was a bit of a lack of leadership there. And so I would like to see us get back to that, but that's certainly something that we probably need to address at budget time, not right now.
Well, and that I think is kind of my question is, to me, I think we need an ongoing kind of holistic idea of what it's going to cost us in the long run. And I don't know that we're getting that from the specific agreement. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to see us throw a small amount of money at the creation of a website, and then in 6 months' time we need to update it, and we don't have anything in place that allows us to do that. So partly what I'm asking is, I guess, whether the administration has considered a longer term plan for the next 6-8 months. Yeah, we need something, perhaps we need something in place to begin looking at the creation of a new website. But at budget time, what does it look like? What are we budgeting on an annual basis? Or how are we apportioning our IT, the members of our IT department, so that someone is responsible for that? And that, I think that's the element of the discussion that is missing to me in this whole agreement right now. Is kind of a, we have never planned holistically for how the city is going to deal with meeting the demands of new technologies, and we're looking at that with every one of these Zoom meetings too, which is not your fault, Mr. Cooley, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just the fault of us trying to quickly implement a system that no one has ever used in any capacity. So I think that kind of becomes a micro argument for the larger issue of, we need to be looking at technology and at our approach to the website a little more holistically than we have in the past. And I think that's part of the issue. sorry, and Mr. Crabshaw, I might have cut things off before you had a chance to say anything, or I don't know if Adam and
Yep.
Bonnie wanted to chime in. Okay.
Yeah, well, basically, Mr. Cooley and I have started the discussions about what that would look like on an ongoing basis after the initial deployment of the website, after it's, you know, after everyone agrees that, okay, this is done, this contract is settled. There's been no number attached to that right now. I can tell you that my personal clients that I have, you had mentioned about you have a small business website where you pay someone to do updates and theme updates and things like that. I literally just go in and do those things for my clients. I just do them. I don't charge for that kind of stuff. And I really don't envision any large dollar figures at all, unless you're saying, let's, you know, do a whole new part of the website. I know that you need something more tangible than just that right now. That's very vague in general, and I understand that. But I want you to know that we have started those discussions and what that would look like. So as soon as we move forward with that, we can certainly get the committee the details on that.
Yeah, I think, I guess, yeah, from the city's perspective, we need something tangible, and I feel better both from our perspective and from yours if we have tangibles in place. Because we don't, if you'll pardon my friend, we don't want to screw you over any more than we want. You know what I mean? Like we don't want you to commit yourself to something that just becomes this huge amount of work, and then we're having trouble getting responsiveness, and you know what I mean, and we're back to square one. I think if we when we bring someone on to maintain the website, we'd like that to be for a period of time so that we have some continuity and we have some responsiveness. And so we don't want that person to you know, suddenly look and say, wow, this is way more than $6,000 worth of work, and I didn't, you know, I didn't budget that, you know, into my time either. But I, you know, I don't think that we at this point have any idea exactly how big a project this is. Because it's been so long since we had a functioning website. It is really hard for anyone. Chris has a better grasp of it, I think, than anyone else, but even Chris, because it's been so long, I don't know that we can wrap our heads around exactly how big this is and how much we want to see. That said, I think it is something we need to move forward on ASAP. I don't know how everyone, it seems as though that's a general feeling across city government, that we need to have a more functional, more user interactive website as soon as possible. And we also need to obviously bear in mind the city's rather tenuous bottom line at all times. So I don't know, Adam, this might be more your bailiwick than mine. Do you have any observations?
Yeah, I mean, I would just go back to kind of where my head was at the beginning of this discussion. I don't know that we have a clear understanding of what we want this to look like yet. And I just don't think it's a good idea to, you know, have Mr. Crepshaw or anybody, you know, start spinning their wheels before we have that figured out. Because, I mean, frankly, it seems to me just from last Thursday night's conversation as well as now that I'm not even confident that number or scope is reflective of what we're really going to run into. I would feel better having that understanding sooner than later as well. I like this idea about this technology advisory committee. I think that we need to understand what we want it to look like, bring Mr. Crepshaw back to the table, and then keep pushing forward. And I think we can do that in a relatively, you know, decent timeline, like next few months for sure. And I think that it'll be a lot cleaner, a lot more, we would have a better idea of what the long-term goal is going to be. So that's kind of where my head's at.
Got it. So it sounds like what I'm hearing from the finance committee then is that for the time being, what we might be looking at is forwarding this item to the full body of council, back to the full body of council with no recommendation or something like that, and saying basically that we'd like the administration to review this item further and put together the committee as discussed to have a look at a firmer basis, at a firmer outline for what our plans are, both for initial website construction and then for maintenance moving forward.
I would be okay with that. And again, you know, Spike, or Mr. Crupshaw, I know you would do a really good job. I just think we can probably make better use of your time and our resources to kind of do a little bit more homework on this before we really get you engaged here.
That's
Sure,
my
that works
feelings
for me.
exactly. I would like to, I think the committee will come together quickly and we can discuss it of what we would like to see. And I think it's fair on both parts, Mr. Crenshaw, that, you know, we're not giving you something that you say afterwards that it's going to cost more to do. And I think this is what we're all afraid of, that we don't want to put more on you that and want to accomplish something that is going to cost more money. And I think we should all sit down and discuss this thoroughly and then bring you into the equation. And then you can tell us, this is how much this is actually going to cost to build it and to maintain it.
Okay,
Okay.
so then do I hear?
I make a motion that we pass this on to the full body of council with no recommendation.
Or perhaps, I'm sorry, excuse me, Bonnie, I'm actually trying to think if we should send it with a negative recommendation or a recommendation to leave it on the table.
Just leave it tabled.
Okay.
That might be easiest.
Okay, then, and or, what? Sorry, Adam, I'm just trying to think. I think my best recommendation might be for the administration, given that they've already started moving in the direction of a committee, to maybe consider pulling the item from the agenda themselves or something like that, and then revisiting it as once we have some recommendations coming out of committee. Chris, I'll leave that up to discussions between you and the mayor. That's not part of our deliberations, but I guess why don't we move forward with the initial no recommendation and that tabling is, you know, with the observation that leaving it on the table for right now is probably best.
Since we have tabled it, don't we have to, I don't think you can pull it if it's tabled, can you?
I believe the administration can pull something if it's tabled. I honestly am not 100% positive, Bonnie, and we don't have any.
I believe that we can pull it if it's tabled.
Yeah, I think you can too.
And even if they can't, it'll die and they can always bring it back forward anyway. So leaving it tabled.
Yeah, we can leave it on the
should take care
table.
of either way.
Definitely, we can do it, you know. It's no big thing one way or the other, but it sounds as though the recommendation coming out of committee is that this isn't something we should move on right now. We need a little more time to work over the idea. So Bonnie, let's go with, if everyone's comfortable with it, no recommendation, and we'll just, you know, I'm not entirely sure what our best recommendation here is. So let's go with no recommendation. And
I'll second it and we can explain it on Thursday night.
okay.
And in the meantime, Liz, ask Austin what we have to do, what can be done with this, okay?
Sure, I'll check with him. I think the administration can pull it if it's tabled, Bonnie. I don't think there will be an issue there. I think they can pull anything from the agenda they want to. It's just if they've put it on the agenda, we can't pull it without their consent. So anyway, thanks to everyone very much for their time and for the helpful discussion here. I will take a vote then on the motion to move this to the full body of council with no recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. All opposed?
Mr. Crenshaw, we want to thank you very much. Please be patient with us, but we want to make sure this is done correctly this time.
I completely understand. Thank you, guys.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that. Thank you, Mr. Crupshaw.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. There we go. We have, here we have item number 2 is a resolution authorizing the Williamsport Bureau of Police to hire 1 police officer, Kristen Wright. Chief Hagan?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is a resolution to authorize the hiring of Kristen Wright. She is currently a trooper with the Arizona Department of Public Safety. She has 10 years of experience, 6 in the state of Georgia in Savannah, where she served 4 years undercover. And she is currently serving as a drill instructor in the Academy for State Troopers in the state of Arizona. She's originally from Montgomery. She's an excellent candidate. So we're bringing her before you for approval to be hired. We've done a complete background investigation. She's passed that investigation. The initial resolution that I sent forward had her starting on May 18th. She made a hardship request to push that back to June 1st. I discussed that with the solicitor, and that request was granted based on the situation that we're in now and the fact that she had a subpoena for a homicide trial out there. So we plan on bringing her on June 1st. She will soon after that take a certification test with the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission. And assuming that she passes that certification test, she'll go right into the field training program here and will not need to go to the academy.
Excellent. Members of the committee, comments?
Chief,
Yes.
explain to me, because I can't remember what was discussed before, where we are with our complement here with the retirees. Is Kristen replacing one of the retirees, or is this a new officer?
She's replacing one of the retirees. We just hired Charles Schwab, and so she will be number 47. We have 2 more to hire to get up to 49 to be at full complement. Council authorized 2 more slots during the budget process last year. We have 2 more coming on deck very soon. One background that has been completed and another one that is almost done. And we expect after Kristen Wright, 1 more prior service officer who will go right in the training program, and then 1 more after him that will need to go to an academy as well. And just to let you know, Charles Schwab was supposed to begin the academy on the 23rd of March, but that was obviously postponed. The Lackawanna Academy and most other academies were postponed because of the COVID-19. So we have talked to Mansfield, and we are probably going to be withdrawing him in the near future from Lackawanna and sending him and 1 more recruit together to the Mansfield Academy, which is going to save us more than $2,000 per recruit. So, and plus it's a shorter academy as well, so they'll be back here to serve in field training sooner. So the postponement of the other academy has created an opportunity for us to send 2 to a closer academy that's a little shorter and much cheaper.
Mansfield isn't up and running yet either, is it?
No, I talked to Scott Henry, the director, the other day. They are hoping to be back online in early June, like most of the academies. He does not have a specific date.
The other question I have is, Kristen really came in 3rd on the list, didn't she?
No, actually, she came in 5th. We hired Charles Schwab. He was number 1. Number 2, 3, and 4, for different reasons, we did not hire. She is number 5 overall.
I just, when you looked at it, it was, interesting that you chose not the top 3. And Charles came in number 1, and then seeing that, 2nd and 3rd didn't come into play.
Right. There are many reasons for that. One is obviously if we contact someone and they're no longer interested in the position, and then also people, for obvious reasons, can be eliminated during the background investigation for various reasons. And it wouldn't be appropriate in this setting to discuss particulars with individuals, but there are reasons why we went from number 1 to number 5, and all of them are documented.
I just wanted to make sure that people understood that, where this comes sometimes.
Yes,
We don't need the information just to, clarify that there are other situations.
yes, ma'am, understood.
And Chief, so just so I understand you right, so we started the year at 47. We've had 2 retirements. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Brian Womer and Agent Trent Peacock retired. So we needed to hire 2 to get back to 47 where we were, and 2 more to get the additional 2 officers that were approved by council. And so we have all 4 of those backgrounds either done or almost done. 1 hired, 1 is on this agenda. We plan to bring another person on April 30th on that agenda, possibly 2 at that time. And if not 2 on the 30th, there'll be 1 at the next meeting after that. And that should bring us to a full complement of 49.
All right. So my ask for you, Joe, Nick, even if you're there, I'd feel a little bit better about these additional 2 if we can kind of start to understand the impacts that COVID-19 is going to have onto our budget. I know that council approved it back in November, but I don't think anybody saw a pandemic coming and frankly, probably ripping our budget to shreds. So if we can have some clarity as far as what our revenues might look like and how that's going to impact the budget, that might be helpful in trying to, I think, understand where we're going to be at for these next 2.
Okay, I'll talk to Joe and see where we're at with revenues.
I would safely assume that with the 2 retirees, the payroll is going to be less with the new hires. But Joe, I think we really need to know this. Are you there, Joe?
He's muted. Joe, you're on mute. Turn it off. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on another program and it wouldn't let me hit the space bar. We'll actually see savings because as the chief was saying, there's 1 that's slated, Schwab slated to go to the academy, and at least 1 of the remaining 3 or 2 or 3 are still need to go to the academy also. They're starting at a lower wage. Obviously half the wage of what's budgeted. Part of that other half is going to go towards the cost of the academy, but the chief indicating that the cost is cheaper. We should see some savings from the expenditure standpoint. We're still looking around to find out where things are on the revenue side and how it's going to impact us and the timeliness of that. We are seeing tax revenues coming in. I think Nick's indicated that the mortgage companies have agreed to pay under the original face date versus the extended date that council approved at the last meeting. So there are definitely things that we have to look at, but it's going to take a little bit of time to see what's going on there.
Another thing to keep in mind, Mr. Yoder, in particular, is that we're not hiring these officers, 3 of them, until June, but we budgeted for a salary for the entire year. So even if we paid all of them their full salary from June on, it would only be half of what was budgeted. So we're saving because they're not getting hired right out of the gate in January, or at least all 4 of them. We hired 1 early on, but the retirements didn't come right away. They took a couple of months, and the hiring process has been slowed down a little bit, obviously. So there'll be a little savings there as well.
Just expanding on that a little bit, the chief is correct that we do budget at the higher rates. So the savings that we're going to see for over the 6 months and the remainder of the year is 65%, or it's 35% of a regular police officer salary. So that will help with the savings.
Yeah, I get all that, and that's good. I guess my concern is, I mean, if you look at those specifically, I mean, let's say we save $100,000 compared to what we budgeted. My concern is that the financial impact is more like $500,000 or $1 million, and every department's going to be impacted by that. So that's where a lot of my concerns lie. So I think understanding that more, regardless of if it's a police officer, if it's a street sweeper, regardless of the hire, regardless of the need, I think would be very helpful in making a lot of these decisions moving forward. Not only the rest of this year, but I mean, this will likely trickle into 2021 as well.
I would agree with Adam that it's just a useful time to have a really accurate financial picture. And speaking of which, Joe, that means it's also a useful time to have accurate financial statements at some point soon here. By the same logic, at least to understand where we were at the closeout of last year versus where we projected we'd be at. This is about the time of year that we usually get some kind of idea of how we closed out prior year spending. And if we received those in this week's packet, then I did not spot them. I apologize.
I'm working on those now, but with the limited staff, it's making it tougher to.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. I figured there might be some delay there too, but anyway, Adam's right that I think that for the next month or two, it may even be hard for us to project exactly what the impacts of the COVID-19 issues are on the city's budget. We'll have some savings potentially, but we'll also, and we may see some disaster related income. So, it's really a moving target, but I would agree that it's important that we understand what the budgetary impacts are as quickly as we can, so that we're not making promises we can't follow through on financially. Because I think there's been so much transition with the new administration since the beginning of the year that we already have some sort of big financial questions that we need to address, even without then an epidemic to throw into the mix. Adam, did you have other questions aside from that?
No, Bonnie seems to.
Bonnie, sorry, Bonnie. Your camera sort of tilted up, so I'm not getting a great view of you. All right. What can we do for you?
That'll
I'm in
be like
Bernie's
a
office. I'm in Bernie's office, and this is, it's his territory. What can I say? Chief, I just wanted to throw something out at you. Can we show Kristen some housing in Williamsport?
My understanding is that she's looked for homes. I don't know where she looked, to be honest with you. I know it's in the area, but our current rules don't require her to live here unless she's I guess under the new rules, an administrator. So as far as showing her housing, we left that up to her. She's a native of the area, but I don't know whether she's going to be a city resident or not at this point.
We would love to have her in the city.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. And one more thing on understanding that it's a balancing act between the money and the manpower. We anticipate a vast change in our status. Right now, we are at minimums by order, and we're only handling calls. We're handling a lot of calls over the phone, and we're only going out when we absolutely have to on people. But there's going to be a time in the near future when that's going to change. Officers are going to start getting sick, and we may even need to change our shift model, potentially to 10 or 12-hour shifts if enough people get sick. When that occurs, we're certainly planning. We don't want it to occur, but if it does, then it's going to be all hands on deck. and we're going to need as many people as we can, understanding that we're going to also need to be able to afford to pay for them. But in terms of staffing, we just don't know how bad it will get in the future. And so at this point, you know, we appreciate the ability to have as many officers as we can. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. Any other questions, or shall we take a motion, guys?
I make a motion, we pass this on to the full body of council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chief, it's exciting to have somebody homegrown coming back to the area for a job with the department. That's just a nice touch, and someone who's gotten so much experience out in the larger world. We'll look forward to meeting Ms. Wright whenever that's a possibility.
She's actually gonna be on the Zoom meeting Thursday. So
Okay.
you'll get to meet her Thursday.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks very much. And okay, shall we move on then, folks?
Signing off.
Yep.
Oh, that way we are.
Thanks, Chief. Be safe out there.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. How you guys are doing. Next up, we have 3 resolutions coming out of River Valley Transit. Item number 3 is a resolution certifying the local match for state operating financial assistance. And Mr. Winder, if you don't say this standard resolution, then I'm sorry, but we won't be able to approve the item. Anyway, and Mr. Winder?
Okay, I won't call it standard. This is your annual resolution.
No, you can totally say standard. I feel like I've heard that so many times, I can't think of anything else.
It is required by Pennsylvania Department of Transportation as part of RVT's annual state operating financial assistance grant for fiscal year 2021, which RVT's fiscal year will start in July 1st of 2020 and extend through till June 30th of 2021. As set forth in this resolution, RVT must provide a minimum local match of $426,204 to receive Act 89, Section 1513 funds in the amount of $4,642,549. That amount is set by the state. And the way that we do the local match is we use money from the contributions we receive from all the municipalities around for RVT service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And I have Nicole Farr, our CFO, who you can't really see. She's off to the side in case there's something I can't answer.
A respectable 6 feet away, I see.
Yes.
All right.
I just assumed she was hiding from the camera, but.
Okay. Bonnie, Adam, any questions?
Yes, is this the, since all my, everything is at the store and I'm at home, I wasn't able to look this back up again. This is the same language that is used every year, but are the figures the same, or how are they different?
They just went up this year. The match actually went up by 3.8%. So that'll put us at a 5% overall match. They'll slowly increase over the years till we hit the maximum of the 15% match.
Mm-hmm. And how are we making that up in terms of local share? Do we have new partners, or where are we at with that?
Do we have new partners? Unique Industries is the only new partner we have. But I was just told today that we have not raised our contribution to the municipalities in quite a few years. So we'll definitely be looking at that after we see the impact of the COVID-19. We certainly don't want to do it right now with the current situation.
I was gonna say, I believe, I mean, our understanding over the last probably decade that I've been seeing this resolution is that nobody's share has increased because we continue to add new partners who help to fund the local share element. But I know that we were having some issues with our partnership with the mall on that over the last couple of years, and I'm not sure where we're at with that. And then, right, if the allocation keeps, if our share keeps going up by 3.8% or whatever it is annually, obviously we either need to add new partners or we need to increase local share. But since it hasn't been done, as far as that accurate, that we haven't raised local shares to any of our municipal partners
We have not.
ever? Okay.
And we are looking at venturing into the southern counties. There's 5 counties down below we'd like to venture into. CEDACOG is helping with that currently.
Okay.
And naturally with the current situation, that's all on hold, but hopefully we'll be able to dive right back into that as soon as this epidemic is over.
Okay. Got it. And I apologize, Bonnie, I stole the floor from you. Did you have any further?
No, you asked the question that I was going to ask about the mall and how far they are behind in paying us. And at one point, I know it was stated that we might cut off going to the mall at one point.
They are 2 years behind. The hard part with cutting off the mall is that that's a major pickup point for hospitals. So we have to be delicate on how we cut areas off and how we can implement a new pickup point within the route.
Got it. Yeah, that's a pretty deep lag. 2 years. Right.
It's a big red flag. When you say pick up for the hospitals, you're stating that it's en route then.
Yes, it's actually a transfer point. So we'd have to find another location to use to safely transfer passengers from one bus to another.
Now the bus, does it go up to the where the other areas around the mall? What's the I can't even think of where the where TJ Maxx is. Does it go through there? Yeah. Is that part of the mall contract or is that a different contract?
Separate contract.
Okay. And are they on time?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Adam, any questions from you on the standard? Oh yeah, never mind. I see your hand.
Yeah. Is the mayor still on?
I
don't see him.
He's not on.
What's that?
I was just told he's not on. He had a 2 o'clock conference call.
Gotcha. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, Adam, or not. It's not necessarily related to this, but you had mentioned about getting down into the southern part of central PA. I'm assuming Union counties, what have you. Sounds like it might be in the near future. Do we have a timeline or do we have a resolution on who's going to be the full-time GM of RVT? I'm not sure if it's a good idea that we have, business decisions like that being made by interim GM, unless the plan is to, any insight you can provide would be beneficial.
I know right before everything kind of turned upside down with the current situation, we were going to start holding a conversation on how everybody felt moving forward. And that kind of got put on hold due to this.
Understandable too.
I would like to just say, I would like to settle it sooner rather than later. So I will definitely reach out to the mayor and see if we can get you an answer for Thursday night on like a timeline or what his thoughts are.
Yeah, it's just something that crossed my mind. If we're looking at, implementing more longer term items such as that, it might be a good idea to clear that up sooner than later.
Yes. The big thing is we want to keep it moving because PennDOT's involved, CEDACOG's involved, and the commissioners from those counties are involved. So we didn't want to let it lose momentum. We did slow it a little bit. Just didn't want it to kind of die off as if we didn't have any interest.
Got it.
That's all I
Okay.
got. You guys asked a lot of my others, so.
It would be nice to have some clarification on that, Adam. But on this specific item, any further questions? I note that we're getting perilously close to public works time, so I would take a motion.
Make a motion, we pass this on to the full body of council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Then the next item on our agenda is a resolution by municipality, item number 4, resolution by municipality certifying provision of local match for state operating financial assistance. If that sounds nearly identical, that's because it is. Mr. Winder.
It's another annual resolution required by PennDOT and its companion to have the above resolution as set forth in this resolution. RVT will invoice the city of Williamsport in November 2020 and May 2021 for this required local local share. The municipality's jurisdictions served by RVT will then be invoiced by the city of Williamsport.
Got it. Any questions on this one, folks?
No questions.
Adam? All right, then I take a motion.
I'll make
Make a motion, we pass this on to
the
the full body of council.
With a, what kind of recommendation?
Positive. Positive recommendation.
Yeah, we'll just pass this buck. All right. Was that a second I heard, Adam?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the final item on today's agenda, item number 5, a resolution authorizing the execution of a consolidated capital grant application to file application and to certify local match. Adam.
So this resolution is because PennDOT has finally approved our CCA for our capital projects. This resolution again is required to be submitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation as part of RVT's consolidated capital grant application for fiscal year 2019-2020. As set forth in the resolution, RVT must provide a minimum local match of $23,673 to match requested state section 1514 bond funds and section 1514 discretionary funds in the amount of $710,327 as indicated on the attached grant funding summary page. These amounts would be the maximum anticipated amount if all the capital projects submitted by RVT to PennDOT were approved and funded. And in your packet, you should have the summary page that shows what all was approved and will be funded by PennDOT. It does involve an ADA accessible van, which would be CNG with 2 wheelchair and 8 passenger capabilities. A new forklift. The current forklift is over 30 years old. It is utilized by RVT and Streets and Parks for RVT as far as moving and unloading heavy duty spare parts and components. And the Streets and Parks side, we utilize it when we get deliveries of traffic lights, street signal, street lights, signal equipment, large boxes. It comes in very handy for both sides of the parking lot. 3 garage doors for a Butler building that was built, I want to say 3 years ago. That building is used to store 6 support vehicles as well as bus parts. IT equipment upgrades, which would upgrade and expand infrastructure on the fleet. Parking lot resurfacing here at RVT. The parking lot has not been resurfaced since 2013. It would involve sealing, line striping, and some resurfacing around the entire facility here, from RVT all the way over to the brush pile. It would also include replacement of a 30-foot vehicle. The vehicle would be replacing is 10 years old. It would replace it with a CNG vehicle. It would also replace two 40-foot buses. Oh, I'm sorry. We changed that to 29 footers. I apologize. 29 footers to make it easier to get into nursing homes, etc. Versus using the 40-foot buses to try to get into those tight areas. It would replace two diesel vehicles with CNG. And then numerous shop equipment, a new post lift, tire machine, tire bouncer, a kingpin press, a drum puller, a plasma cutter, a welder, and an Allison transmission flush machine, which are all definitely needed things to maintain the buses we currently have. As many of you know, with technology and vehicles, when you change the equipment, you go for the vehicles you run from diesel to gas. It's a different type of vehicle, so you need more modern equipment in order to maintain it. And I'll take any questions you have.
So the total match that we're obligating then is 23,000, Adam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where's that coming from?
That would come out of the local shares from all the municipalities.
Okay. Help me out here. In addition to the 426 from the previous resolution?
Yes.
Okay. So that is technically speaking money we don't have yet because we still need to talk to municipalities about increasing the local share.
The money, the 426 is there. Once we commit the local share, then we can actually start drawing it down.
Okay, but the 23,000.
It's already sitting in a line item.
Okay, got it.
Joe's ready to comment.
Joe? Oh, no. I think that's a vehement head shake there. Bonnie, Adam,
I have no other questions.
Adam?
No other questions.
Okay, so any issues that need to be resolved regarding local match and unmet local match because of the increases this year are being resolved. That is to say, the money for both of these projects is currently in the budget, correct? RVT's budget?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then I take a motion.
You go for it, Adam.
I'll make a motion to pass on the full body of council with a positive recommendation.
I'll second that.
All right, woo, good job, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the conclusion of our Finance Committee agenda items, with the exception of what would be item number 7, any related items. Does anyone have anything else to introduce for the Finance Committee's attention before we adjourn? Don't all jump on it at once now. Okay, then I take a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And given that it is currently 2:38 p.m. and Ms. Katz was supposed to begin her meeting at 2:30, I think we might as well all unceremoniously sign off. Mr. Cooley, do you have any objection to that?
No, you don't. Anyone staying on should stay on. If you want to sign off, go ahead and sign off.
Okay. Thanks very much, folks. I will see you Thursday.
Thank you all.
See
Be
y'all.
safe out there.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Hold on, guys, I've got to get my agenda set up here. Okay, I see we have everybody. Oh, wait, there you are, Vince. Okay. Everybody here that's needed to be here. I'd like to call this Public Works meeting to order, April 14th at 2:38 p.m. First thing on the agenda is a resolution to approve community conservation and partnership grant application to the PA Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the Low School Park Rehabilitation Project. Stephanie, you're up.
Okay, everybody hear me all right? Am I good?
You're good.
All right. Yes, this resolution authorizes a grant submission to DCNR for phase 2 of the Low School Park Rehabilitation Project. And we originally planned to apply for both Youngs Woods and Low School Park, but DCNR will only accept one application for one park. So based on that recommendation of the Recreation Commission, we determined that Low School Park had the greater need. We'll be requesting $250,000 from DCNR. The grant does require a 50% match, and that will come from 2020 CDBG funds. The scope of work for the project includes the construction of a pavilion with lighting and picnic tables, the installation of ADA accessible pathways to the pavilion and from Memorial Avenue, along with benches, the installation of LED low mountain lighting along the pathways, the resurfacing of the basketball court, and possibly the revitalization of the community garden. These phase 2 improvements are based on the Williamsport City Parks Master Plan. That plan is a number of years old, but it's still relevant to the different phases that need to happen. So we were basing the improvements for phase 2 on that plan. You should have received an updated concept plan from Larson Design. It's a little better than the original one that went out. But I do want to note that if the city is awarded the funds from DCNR, we'll be asked to submit a final design plan. So we do have the chance to modify the concept plan that's submitted with the application, but the plan that you have will give you a general idea about what the proposed improvements are. And I also spoke to Councilwoman Mealy about the community garden because she was part of the original committee that started it. And right now the garden's not being used, and we weren't sure if there was interest there, but I'm going to mention it as part of the application for the time being. So when the application goes in, there will be a mention of the community garden, and we can have a further conversation about what it looks like as far as keeping it or revitalizing it. I think the main issue is just finding people that want to take care of it. And this grant application is due next week to DCNR on April 22nd, and a resolution is required to apply. And I think Adam hopefully is still on, and he may have some additional things to add about the scope of work.
Just the pavilion, sidewalks, lighting, benches, and revitalization of the community garden are the big topics. Chris Kaiser, we are hoping to have a projected cost by Thursday night that we can talk about then. Unfortunately, due to the current situation, it's a little complicated to get everything put together quickly, and I apologize, but that's about all I got. Stephanie did fabulous with this.
Thanks.
Okay, Vince, do you have any questions? Dave, do you have any questions?
Hey, Joan, it looks great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Sure.
Stephanie, I didn't hear, what did you say? How long ago has it been since LOS was done?
It was last done in 2007, and that was from a 2006 DCNR grant, but the work was actually done in 2007. And that work was primarily the installation of the playground equipment. The basketball court was resurfaced. There was some landscaping, some lighting, and some pathways.
I'm happy to see that this is going to go through from the standpoint of it always looked a little blank. The community garden was something that you always saw. Hopefully it does come back into play, but I think the pavilion and other things are going to be exciting for that neighborhood.
And I think especially with the Greer Street Manor right there, I think that houses maybe 30 senior citizens. So I think having a pavilion and a picnic table and a place for them to go and get outdoors will be nice.
The other thing with that is those people keep an eye on the park.
Mm-hmm.
They are the eyes and ears of that park.
Yep.
If there are no other questions, I'll take a motion.
Move to move this on to the full body of council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, Stephanie. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
on Thursday.
Okay.
Next thing on the agenda is Adam, a resolution awarding the aggregate bids for the city of Williamsport.
This is an annual resolution. We partner with West Branch COG, which is a group of many municipalities together, and submit for aggregate bids as a whole so that we can all get the best possible price. It's numerous items from anti-skid to 2A sub base, high performance cold patch, different items that we use on a regular basis. And all the awards came back from West Branch COG, and the individuals highlighted in yellow are delivered directly to the public works or job site. The ones highlighted in blue in your packet are pickup from the plant, which we don't do very often. We try to have everything delivered to us to minimize pulling guys from a job and sending them out to pick it up. It is the best possible price and the easiest way for us to get the best possible price by joining with all the other municipalities around to do this. The materials are paid for with liquid fuels, as well as a little bit from the general fund, but for the most part, it's liquid fuels because it's all street related. I'm open to ask any questions you have. You'll have this one, and then very soon we'll have the seal coat bidding. I think that has to be turned in May to the COG. So that'll be the only other one from the COG that we'll be bringing forward.
Adam, I just have a quick question. Since we've had such a mild winter, hardly any of the non-skid or any of those products were used this year. How does that reflect for next year? Do we get any credit for not using, or how does that work out?
We only pay for what we use. The only thing we have a required amount on is the salt, which is done strictly through the state. We have to purchase at least 60% of our salt supply that we request, or we get penalized, and we have till July 31st to purchase our 60%. I think we only have to get roughly 100 ton delivered to us to meet our 60%, which we have room to do it. We were just waiting till, the liquid fuels allocation was given to us to buy that last little bit. But everything else is just on a, as we request it, that's what we pay for, nothing more. We're not locked into a certain amount under the COG.
I wondered about that this year Because we used how much? We've used very, very little, didn't we?
Yes. I think we only ordered around 100 ton of anti-skid this past winter, which is really below average. But like I said, it's nice that we only have to order what we need and pay for what we need. We're not set at a certain number because it's, the salt, I believe the reason for that is because once they mine it and crush it, it's, I'll call it shelf life is very limited due to the weather conditions. Rain will melt it down, different things of that nature.
Any questions from anybody? Dave?
So Adam, this is just for my education. This isn't a, nitpicking thing. On page 3 of our PDF, the bid tabulation, we didn't receive any bids. It seems on the type AS2 anti-skid. How does that work then for, fulfilling those bids?
It's just a type of anti-skid that we use. What I do is I fill out a form that requests exactly what materials we want to bid on. So since we use the AS3, that's what I fill in for. Because we like the limestone anti-skid versus the sandstone. So we get it's about 20 pages of, what type of exact material do you want kind of thing. So we pick what best suits our needs versus, Muncie Township may like the sandstone where we like the limestone. And the only reason we like the limestone is because you get better grip. It doesn't melt away as fast.
So this is essentially a bid tabulation for the Council of Governments, and they just give us every option on there. Thank you.
Vince, any questions? You're on mute, Vince.
No questions.
Okay, then I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next thing on the agenda is any related items. Does anybody have any related items?
Nope.
If
Nothing at
not,
this
I'll
point.
take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys very much. Okay, we'll see you all on Thursday.
Thank
See
you.
you, John. See you, Vince. See you,
care,
Dave, and bye, Chris and Adam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.